Hi all, thanks for joining for this research summary. This one is a summary of a project that looked into farm animal welfare opportunities in China. Glad you could join. For those of you that don't know me, I'm Michelle Sinclair. I work in international animal welfare, managing programs and researching the ways in which we can improve animal protection programs and collaborations across borders. The work I'm sharing with you now is a summary of a study conducted in China while I was with Harvard Law School at the Brooks McCormick Jr. Animal Law and Policy Program. I firstly wanted to introduce the team. This whole team came together to collect all the data in Chinese, interpret our findings, and put together our academic publication. If you ever get the opportunity to collaborate with any of these professionals, please do. I loved working with them and I cannot speak highly enough of them. My previous research has shown that one of the most important aspects to improving our programs as a movement is to get better at understanding and engaging key stakeholders. I classify key stakeholders as the people that have the ability to actually make the changes or choices that impact the welfare of animals, or to help bring about those changes for the animals. For example, when we're talking about livestock welfare in China, key stakeholders are likely to include the livestock industry themselves, farmers, business owners, etc., and also those with influential power around those industries, government bodies, veterinarians, consumers. Although key stakeholders often have game-changing knowledge, we don't engage with them very often for a variety of different reasons. When we are able to engage in respectful, collaborative ways, the results can actually be quite powerful, and academia can sometimes be a neutral platform on which to facilitate that. With that understanding, the aim of this study was to consult knowledge and opinions of leading stakeholders in the Chinese sector about progressing farmed animal welfare. To give you some context, I'll just briefly outline what we did in the study. We engaged 100 senior stakeholders, including government and policy representatives, agricultural lawyers, livestock business and association leaders, agricultural strategists, agricultural veterinarians, and active animal advocates in China. In addition to being actively engaged in the Chinese animal agriculture sector, each senior stakeholder was considered influential by their colleagues. That being, they were considered to be decision makers or those who influence decisions within the landscape. In Chinese, we asked questions aimed at understanding 4 aspects of animal welfare in China that could advise strategy in the region. That included: where does animal welfare fit amongst the most important agricultural considerations for key Chinese stakeholders? What would encourage Chinese animal industries to pay attention to animal welfare? What do key Chinese stakeholders see as the opportunities to progress animal welfare in China? And what support is required to progress animal welfare in China, according to these stakeholders? Their answers were translated back to English and subjected to analysis, with some expected and some really exciting findings. Okay, let's get stuck into the results. And since I know full well you're all very busy, I'm actually going to skip a lot of results, but if you do want more information, you can jump into the full publication. It is open access, and I'll add a QR code at the end that will take you right there. Today I'll go through some of the major findings and the big questions. First up, attracting attention to animal welfare. When it came to how to attract attention to farmed animal welfare in China, importantly, over half of the leaders stated that animal welfare should be tied to more compelling causes and benefits. What they then considered to be the more compelling benefits are summarised here in this pie chart for you. Most frequently, the leaders listed that improving farm animal welfare should be tied to food safety and biosecurity. It should be tied to increased market and branding opportunities. Improving animal welfare should be tied to increased quality of products and obviously profit. To summarise, one leader shared that farm animal welfare will gain attention in China when it can be proven to bring benefits to the farm. This does align with some of my previous findings that emphasises the importance of finding mutual benefits that animals might have with people. More specifically, how can people benefit from improving the welfare of animals? Although as a movement we obviously see the benefit of improving the welfare of animals as being for the animals themselves, for stakeholders outside of the movement, that is rarely a compelling reason to make meaningful changes. So wrapping our head around that will certainly allow us to attract far more attention to farmed animal welfare. With that sobering but useful piece of reality out of the way, the exciting findings of this study surface when we actually start discussing the opportunities. I'm actually only going to quickly flash this up because it's a bit of an assault on the senses and too much for a PowerPoint. But us professional nerds love building sexy figures with data, and I wanted to quickly show you that the opportunities they shared could be divided into two categories. So they could be divided into external societal opportunities, so general societal conditions that could be leveraged to improve animal welfare, and internally generated opportunities and interventions and things like that. So this is the cool bit. When we asked leaders in China to share with us what they saw as the opportunities to improve farm animal welfare, they gave us 323 responses, which is over 3 times the opportunities than people who actually participated, which means people were pretty engaged with this task, which is really optimistic. As mentioned, some of these responses indicated societal opportunities to improve animal welfare that could be leveraged. The most frequently compelling to the leaders in this study included to leverage the commercial benefits of improving animal welfare in order product quality, reducing production costs and losses, improving the productivity of the animals, brand differentiation, and increased price point. Leveraging public health incidences and the current focus on food safety. Leveraging international standards and terminal market requirements through trade structures. So obviously we're looking a bit at the EU here. Leveraging the effects of the pandemic and subsequent market changes, which we discuss a bit more in the paper I wrote today. And leveraging an improving GDP and post-pandemic landscape to reframe the farming paradigm towards a dynamic shift, meaning farmers as caregivers and going from production of quantity to quality. Just as there are some societal and environmental conditions that present opportunities to improve farm animal welfare, the leaders in this study also offered their thoughts on initiatives or interventions that would be more likely to create change in China. The most frequently mentioned interventions included developing technical training and support programs for industry, including the availability of improved welfare alternatives and encourage investment, to legislate production that considers practical demands on Chinese farms, which included investigating options to centralise production operations, limit scale and certify and qualify staff in animal welfare, the establishment of a government centre for guidance on animal welfare to demonstrate government attention and support to encourage the industry, openly demonstrate high welfare enterprises for consumer evaluation, including high welfare buddy enterprises, maximise publicity for animal welfare by seeking guidance and support from mainstream media, and finally to continue to build consumer understanding of the concept of animal welfare to underpin a whole-scale ideological change. So they really focused on childhood education in this instance. So this bovine cleaning his own nostril is an indicator that we've made it past halfway. So thank you for continuing to join me. Onward forth with the results, and the last question that we asked was around supporting farmed animal welfare in China. When asked if they believed the livestock industry in China needed more support to improve farmed animal welfare, 88% of participants agreed. When we then asked the leaders who that support was needed from, the government was the most frequent response. Interestingly, international not-for-profits barely appeared here, which again demonstrates the need to drive change locally and is an important memo to those of us in international animal welfare to ensure we're collaborating to support local change drivers rather than trying to drive the change ourselves. As you can see, there are lots of opportunities here, as listed by leaders in this study, which is incredibly optimistic and gives us all a lot to think about. The findings are of particular use as they are opportunities and solutions presented by influential key stakeholders who are themselves in a position to drive changes for farmed animal welfare. By drawing our attention to certain opportunities, we could deduce that they themselves would be more likely to engage with and get behind these approaches, which in itself is a huge potential victory. The findings of this study highlighted many opportunities for applications, but in general, the message is that animal welfare initiatives should be tied to more compelling benefits. This means we need to always be on the lookout for mutual benefits that stakeholders who have the ability to improve the lives of animals share with animals themselves. This study also highlighted three main robust intersections that we can tie to animal welfare that are likely to be compelling in any farm animal welfare initiatives in China. Profit, product quality, and food safety. I'm not going to go into detail on each of these intersections, more than to say each of the key areas that were flagged in this study as compelling benefits can intersect with animal welfare, and that in some instances, scientific literature exists to support that. I've summarised some of that for you here to save you having to dig through scientific literature to find it, but it's also outlined in the paper. There are scientifically supported ways that increasing animal welfare can offer benefits of profit. There are scientifically supported ways that increasing animal welfare can have a positive impact on product quality. And finally, there are scientifically supported ways that increasing animal welfare can increase food safety and mitigate biosecurity breaches, including in the mitigation of zoonotic outbreaks, which is being modelled by our current pandemic, the one with the dirty C name. So in summary, in a time in which it's all too easy to feel fatigued and hopeless, our findings urge optimism by presenting paths in which to view the current landscape as one full of opportunity and hope. There are lots of opportunities to engage key stakeholders into improving farmed animal welfare in China. We know they care based on previous research, so it's really down to a matter of making it compelling for them to act. I also think there's a real opportunity for not-for-profits to partner with academics to conduct research that helps guide strategies that are more likely to yield a better value for your resources. There are some of us who are academics who also have operational not-for-profit experience. Seek us out for collaboration when you can. China is a powerful nation with unique capabilities and a long history of resilience and growth. Should animal welfare become a priority for China, it would have a huge impact on a mind-blowing number of animals. 40% of animal agriculture across the globe happens in China. There are ways we can support Chinese stakeholders to embrace animal welfare. Underpinning it with Chinese determination and adding global support, the progressions could be endless. As promised, here's a QR code to the full publication if it's useful to you. Just open your smartphone camera and get this code in view, and then when the little link pops up, you can just click on it and it'll take you right there. So stay posted. This has been a summary of just one study. There are lots more out there and many more international animal welfare studies with particular focus on Asian countries in my profile. I'll give you another QR code to take you there on the last slide coming up next. Okay, so thanks for joining me, folks, for this research summary. Please keep up your amazing but challenging work, and do reach out to me on the below email if I can support you. There's also a little link there to the Library of Publications I promised, if you dare. Okay, take care, friends, stay safe, and see you next time.